Do you want to know the secret to confidence, happiness and success? In today's show, I'll show you how gratitude can change your life. Every single person is powerful, perfect as they are. And I believe we all have a role to play in making this world a better place. My purpose is to help people step into their power. The act of being grateful has the capacity to change the quality of our lives in the most amazing ways. There's a growing body of research which demonstrates the positive impact of being grateful on a regular basis. Regularly practice being grateful and you'll enjoy greater feelings of positivity. Gratitude leads to far greater levels of energy, particularly helpful when you're emotionally drained or fatigued. Incorporating greater levels of gratitude help you feel more positive and energized. It gives a great sense of well-being. Research shows a direct link between higher levels of gratitude and high levels of emotional intelligence. It's known now that IQ gets you the job, but EQ, or emotional intelligence, creates an ongoing success and satisfaction for all concerned. People who practice being grateful manage their own emotional state more effectively. They get on with and manage others better. They're more likely to achieve success both personally and professionally. They're better able to read other people and adjust their interactions accordingly. They demonstrate higher levels of empathy and enjoy better relationships as a result. Gratitude is a great antidote to anxiety and depression. Another benefit of feeling grateful is a greater sense of social connection and interaction. Now, social interaction is incredibly important in supporting well-being, minimising loneliness and isolation, and creating a sense of community. The research identified that those who were grateful also enjoyed a greater quality of sleep and had fewer headaches. People who regularly experienced gratitude were found also to be more forgiving to others and to themselves. We'll explore the amazing freedom which forgiveness offers in the next show. Many people find it incredibly difficult to forgive, and as a result, their life becomes far more limiting and unhappy. My experience with clients entirely supports the research. Incorporating gratitude on a daily basis has a profound and positive effect on clients' emotions, helping them feel happier and more confident. Furthermore, the positive impact is sustained over time as the brain learns to focus on life differently. Remember how 95% of our thinking is habitual? Our brains are rather like an old-fashioned vinyl record. Just as the grooves in a record enable us to listen to the same tune over and over again, our brains tend to think in repetitive patterns. Remember, our thinking determines our emotional state, and that in turn governs our actions and our words or lack of them. Unless we consciously recognise the pattern and choose to do something differently, we're stuck in the groove, just as if we were a record with a needle playing that same record over and over again. Gratitude recalibrates the brain, helping us focus on the positive, and in doing so, it triggers feelings of appreciation. To be grateful, you have to choose to be in the moment enough to notice. The busier we are, the easier it is to miss the wonder of the world around us and to take things along the way for granted. When you focus on worrying about something which has happened in the past or are too busy chasing targets, you're likely to miss the amazing opportunities to appreciate the here and now. Mounting evidence that incorporating gratitude into your life can make a significant and positive difference to the quality of your life. So it makes sense to develop an ongoing habit of gratitude in your life. So why is it that gratitude has so much impact? I believe it's because of the way we attach how we feel, particularly our sense of happiness and well-being, to achieving the goals we set ourselves. As soon as one goal is fulfilled, we set another and another. We make it increasingly challenging to achieve the state of happiness, and even more difficult to sustain it. So many of us create a set of impossible criteria which all have to be met before we will allow ourselves to be happy. It's the "I'll be happy when" syndrome. I'll be happy when I've got the perfect car, a wife who never nags, or a husband who always takes the rubbish out without being asked, children who tidy up their bedroom, and on and on and on. In the unlikely event that they are close to achieving those goals, more goals are added to the list. So happiness continues to be elusive. Dan Sullivan talks about chasing the gap, and he's referring to the gap between where we are now and where we want to be. As we move forward, instead of allowing the gap to close, the criteria required for us to feel we've achieved the goal are extended out into the future, leaving a sense of dissatisfaction and postponement. He suggests that rather than focusing on the gap between the present and the future, we'd be far better if we focused on the gap between where we are now and where we've come from. So instead of focusing on what's missing, the focus is on what's been achieved, how far you've come, and the skills, expertise, and experience you've gained along the way. I urge you to express appreciation and gratitude for what you've learned, your achievements and growth. Celebrating your success elicits greater feelings of happiness and joy. The only thing we actually have is this moment, moment by moment. And once it's passed, gone forever. Collecting gratitudes helps us make the most of each precious moment. The strategy costs nothing. It's really easy to incorporate into the busiest of lives, and it works incredibly well. For me, it's a no-brainer. Why not give it a try? Gratitude works as an incredibly powerful antidote when life gets tough. Where clients who have presented with anxiety, depression, or overwhelm have actively incorporated opportunities to feel grateful in a systematic and regular way, the results have been amazing. Within a very short time, clients have reported that they're feeling much better resourced and better able to cope with their situation. Instead of focusing on all the trials and tribulations, their brain has started to focus on the great things in life. And as a result, there's been a qualitative change in the way in which they think, and the positive way of thinking has quickly become a new habit. So, how do you collect gratitudes? As you go through each day, look for opportunities for things that make you smile, things that you are grateful for. Make it easy and make it frequent. So it can be a great cup of coffee, somebody's given you a phone call, you've actually enjoyed your meal. For me, nature is a huge source of gratitude. So it could be clouds changing, or it could be a beautiful plant. It doesn't actually matter. During the day, collect your gratitudes, and then, just before you go to sleep at night, scan the day, choose 5. And as you do, enter into that feeling of gratitude. And you end the day with something which is hugely positive. It's as simple as that. But it needs to be done regularly and systematically. So coming up, I'd like to share with you some stories of clients who've used gratitude to make a really big difference in their lives. You can see just how powerful it is. We've been talking about gratitude in today's show. Now, I could give you countless examples because it's one of the exercises that I give pretty well all my clients. But John came to me and he was incredibly depressed. He was a business owner and he talked about my depression, and he had had a life which had been dogged by being low and feeling depressed. Now, it wasn't the only thing that I asked him to do, but it was a major thing I asked him to do very early on, and that was to collect gratitudes. He came back to his second session and he said, "Do you know what? I feel different." By the end of the month, his language had changed, his body language had changed. He had started to look at those things in his life that were fulfilling rather than just concentrating on the things that weren't. Shirley came to me suffering with huge anxiety. She had panic attacks. She struggled every day with almost every activity. For her, collecting gratitudes was a way of recalibrating her brain, calming her down, helping her live in the moment, because her anxiety was about things that she should have done in the past and hadn't, and those things that she knew she needed to do in the future but was afraid of. So collecting gratitudes for her meant that she stayed in the moment. She loved the natural world, and she started to notice things in a very different way. For Joan, she came to me and it was about managing her bereavement. She was bereft, her husband had died very suddenly, and her whole world seemed dark and bleak. Collecting gratitudes, once again, was just one of the things that we did, but ultimately it made such a difference to her. She started to see that she actually had a lot to live for. There was a lot going in her life to be grateful for. Good friends, the opportunity to spend time with her children. There was so much there. And lastly, I'd like to leave you with Shelley. Shelley was very lonely. She spent her time when she wasn't at work in her house, really pretty much on her own. She came to me and she was looking for a way of feeling better about herself and her life. I introduced collecting gratitudes, and within a couple of weeks, rather than staying in her flat when she wasn't working, she started to be more adventurous, to go out and to look for things in the natural world that she could be grateful for. She decided to get a dog, and as a dog walker she met lots of people. Her world began to expand, and as she did, she began to appreciate it. So, collecting gratitudes costs you nothing, is easy to do, it has a profound and positive impact. Why wouldn't you try it? Go on, give it a go. It's time for the mailbag and questions around the theme of gratitude. So number 1, why is gratitude so important? I'm not sure I feel grateful for how life is at the moment. I know just how challenging life can be. I've had some pretty challenging times myself, but even on the darkest days, there are still things to be grateful for. It's a matter of noticing. There'll be something which gives you a little lift. Start with the things that are easy, a great cup of tea or coffee, the sun shining, having a comfortable seat. The more you set the intention of finding things to be grateful for, the easier it will become. To start with, it might feel strange and clunky, but if you stick at it, it will get easier within a few days. Keep it going for a month and you should see a positive difference. If you're feeling very low or depressed, I really urge you to get some professional help. Number 2, why is it so much easier to feel grateful for the things outside ourselves? I believe for many it's part of their early conditioning that it's selfish or boastful to be positive about oneself. Many clients have been concerned that if they were to own their uniqueness and their power, it'll come across as arrogant and negative, that people won't like them. They fear rejection. Being proud of who you are, acknowledging your full range of gifts and talents, is about owning your authentic, genuine power. But here's the key. Your owning your power does nothing to diminish anyone else's. Number 3, I'd like my children to appreciate things more. How can I help them do it? Well, I'd suggest you incorporate the first gratitude exercise as part of their bedtime exercise. Get them to collect gratitudes during the day. Last thing before you say goodnight, both of you choose your favourite 5 and share them. Once the habit's established, it will support them throughout their lives. For teenagers, you're likely to need to use a slightly different tack if you're introducing the principle for the first time. But given the ever-increasing problems that teenagers are having with bullying, both face-to-face and online, anxiety, depression and self-harming, it's even more important to help them develop strategies that combat the challenges they face. Introduce the principle of gratitudes. If they're creative, encouraging them to create a gratitudes board on the same lines as a vision board. Encouraging them to get involved in helping on a volunteer basis or raising money for charity is something which many teenagers find incredibly rewarding. It opens their eyes and makes them more appreciative of what they have. As always, I'd like to leave you with some things to think about and which will make a positive difference that you can implement into your life right now. Number 1, treasure and appreciate the people you care about. Tell them you love them and do it often. Don't assume they know. It makes a huge difference to them and to you. Number 2, even in the darkest, most difficult moments, there's a gift if you look for it. It has the capacity to transform a situation from something desperate and negative to an opportunity for growth and gratitude. Number 3, your health is priceless. Don't put off anything which can support great health. And I'm giving you an extra one this time because number 4, relationships are precious and deserve our closest attention. Nurture and appreciate them, make the most of yours, and live every day fully with passion. Know the power of thank you. I challenge you for 1 week to focus on what's good in your life and choose to be grateful. It's been great to be with you today, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next programme where we'll be focusing on the power of forgiveness. Discover the secret which will free you from the weight of past hurts and help you step into your true power so you can live a life of confidence, freedom and fulfilment. Until then, be genuinely you. Want to learn more? Grab a copy of my #1 best-selling book, Thriving Not Surviving, the 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success and Fulfillment, on Amazon or wherever good books are sold.